Hi everybody, I'm Tom, WA2IVD. Today we're going to look at a solar pinhole projector that you can make in a few hours with parts you have around the house and things you can find at your local big box store. 4-inch drain pipe comes in 10-foot lengths normally, so the first thing we'll need to do is cut that down to make it the size we need for our projector. The nice thing about this project is that none of the dimensions are critical. I made mine 6 feet long. You could make it longer and you'll get a bigger image of the sun, but it'll also be a little bit harder to maneuver and to align. The next thing that we're going to need to do is drill a hole in the end cap where our pinhole will go. This hole also isn't critical, as long as it's at least 1/4 inch. Probably a little bit bigger would be better. And of course, safety first. Whenever you're drilling with a power drill, make sure that whatever you're drilling is firmly clamped down or held in place. We can set the cap aside for later. The next thing we're going to do is drill 2 holes into our pipe that we're going to use to secure a couple of 1x2s that will act as tripod legs to hold everything steady while we're looking through the projector. I put the holes about 12 inches from the end. Again, this is not a critical dimension, but you need to put them close enough to the end that you can reach your hand inside and put the screws in to hold the boards in place. I measured the diameter of the pipe, which is 4.5 inches, and then used that to calculate the circumference, which is pi times the diameter, and that comes out to about 14 1/8 inches. So I need to put the holes 7 1/16 inches apart for them to be on opposite sides of the pipe. Once we drill those 2 holes, then we're going to need to drill 2 holes into our 1x2s, and then we'll assemble everything together. There's nothing really too complicated for the next part of this, so we'll speed this up a little bit. Okay, now that this is just about done, we can take this part and set this aside for now. The next part here is optional. I noticed the inside of the ABS pipe is pretty shiny inside, and I'm planning on taking pictures, at least a few pictures, through the projection end, so I'm going to spray the inside of the T, where the projector screen is going to go, with some flat black spray paint just to take the shine off and minimize any reflections that I might get into the camera. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it will help make the image a little bit clearer and you won't get reflections and hot spots on the image. Okay, now it's time to build our screen. You'll notice that I used a T connector for this. You could also get a Y connector, which might actually give a little better angle for the camera, but it was quite a bit more expensive, so I stuck with the T. If you do use the T, you need to make sure you put the screen at the proper end of it where the curve goes on the side piece coming in so that you can see down to the screen a little better. I may eventually cut this off at the top so that I can get a better view. Then we'll need a piece of white paper, and we're also going to need some opaque tape. The first thing we're going to do is take the paper and just make a little pattern by pushing it over the end of the pipe. And we're going to cut it out so that we don't have too much overhang. This isn't really critical as long as you get it so that you've got paper all the way to the edges. I'm using Gorilla Tape for my tape because it's very opaque and black. You can use duct tape or anything else that you have as long as it's completely opaque. Once you have it taped down, you want to make sure that you get all of the edges completely covered and any exposed pieces of paper completely covered with tape. The paper itself will conduct a little bit of light in, and it'll make your image a little bit blurred inside if you don't have it completely covered. Okay, we're almost done. Now we need to make our pinhole. You can just use a soda can for this. You could use aluminum foil. I wanted something a little bit more robust, and the pinhole is going to be a little bit larger than on the smaller projects because of the distance to the screen. So I'm using a 5/64 drill bit. You could use a 3/32 drill bit. Either one would be fine. Or you could use a nail and poke a hole, but you want to try to make sure that it's as round as possible. Next, I'm going to just bend this back a little to flatten it out. And the way I'm going to drill this, I'm going to put it against this block of wood as a backer. And then I'm just going to secure it to it with a piece of tape. And hopefully the wood backer will keep the drill from tearing out the back of the hole too much in the aluminum. Now, even with the backer, there's still going to be some burrs and a little bit of edges, sharp edges around the hole where it was drilled. So I'm just going to use a blade from a utility knife to try to clean that out as best I can and then run the drill through it a few more times. You want to get the hole as round as possible, and you want to make sure there's no sharp edges on it. The reason for that is that any sharp edges are going to make the image more fuzzy. If it's perfectly round and smooth, that'll make the clearest image on the projection. Okay, I think that came out pretty good. Now we just need to secure it to our end cap where we drilled the hole before. So we'll go get that. And all we're going to do is tape it to the end cap with some masking tape. And just make sure that it's secured and flat and that it's tight to the end cap all the way around so no light leaks through. Now we have our pinhole. All we need to do is go take all of the pieces and go put it together. So first we're going to put the end cap on the end of the pipe where we secured the two 1x2s with the screws. And then we're going to put our projector end at the opposite end of the pipe. And we've got a projector ready to go. So now let's go try it out. Unfortunately, the day that I finished this, it was a little bit late in the afternoon by the time everything was done. So I've got to set these legs out quite a ways and lay it down quite a ways to get lined up with the sun. Lining it up's pretty simple. All you've got to do is adjust it so that the shadow from the pipe is as small as possible, and that tells you that the sun is coming right in the back. And once we get it close, we can see the sun projected on the screen, and it's a nice bright round image. And you could get a small camera in there, and I'm going to just zoom in with mine, and there's your image of the sun. The two little black dots that you saw were not sunspots. That was just some dirt on the paper. So there you have it, a complete solar pinhole projector.